Welcome to MotorLand Aragon, near the town of Alcañiz in the northeast region of Spain. It's a simply spectacular area, and this is one hell of a track. Built in 2009, it hosts most GP and World Superbike rounds, but today it's all about round 3 of the 2016 FIM CEV Repsol. As always, the fans are out on their numbers, completely free day to come down and watch at the CEV. And it is great to be back. The most recent round we had was just for Moto3 at Le Mans as part of the French Grand Prix. So this is the second time in 2016 we've got all 3 championships that make up the CEV together. The Moto3 Junior World Championship, the Moto2 European Championship, and the Superbike European Championship. Today, we have 2 Superbike, 2 Moto2, and 1 Moto3 race for you in an awesome Sunday of racing. And as you can see, Aragon, well, it's an absolutely legendary track, over 5 kilometres in length, 7 left corners, 10 right corners, the reverse corkscrew, and that brilliant back straight in the infamous turn 1. Broadcast all over the world, then and live on YouTube. This is the place where the most talented young riders from all over the world come to prove their worth, hoping to make the step up to the World Championship. And with almost 80% of the current World Championship grid having come for the CV, it's clearly the best proving ground for future world champions that there is. And it is a simply beautiful day here at MotorLand Aragon. Temperatures are approaching 30 degrees. There's hardly a cloud in the sky. The sun is shining, but it is a tad windy. I'm Luke Wilkins. Joining me is Harry Lloyd from MostGP.com. Harry, first up, it's great to be back together. Secondly, we should be in for some great racing today, shouldn't we, mate? Yeah, we really should. There's a lot of riders out here, especially the man on pole, who are out to make amends for a bit of a difficult weekend in Valencia first time out. We obviously had 1 or 2 small issues with the tyres, which meant that the race in Valencia had to be reduced in distance on safety grounds. No such issues here in Aragon, so we're in for a full race of absolutely amazing action. Already, just based on times from qualifying, it looks to be very, very tight. There are those 3 favourites that are the clear ones for the victory, but beyond there, it's anybody's game from 4th downwards. And look at the views around MotorLand Aragon as we drove up here. As I say, the place is simply incredible. It's green, it's lush, and it's one of the nicest areas of Spain. And Harry obviously mentioning there the 3 title contenders. Well, we had a very dramatic round 1 at Valencia. Carmelo Morales, the man who is the reigning Superbike European champion and a bit of a legend in the FIM CEV Repsol. As you mentioned, the race is already reduced by 5 laps. He had a tyre pressure issue and had to pull out, which left Maximilian Schieb to take the victory, followed by Alejandro Medina and Santiago Barragan, and those are the 3 leading the championship. But Alejandro Medina is not here this weekend, is he, Harry? No, unfortunately, because we've had such a big gap between that first round in Valencia and this round for the Superbike class, lots of the teams have gone out testing. Now, testing can be very good, can be very helpful. You can learn a lot, but you can also crash. Yeah. And unfortunately, that's exactly what Alejandro Medina has done. He was testing here a couple of weeks back with his Stratos Yamaha team, and unfortunately he did suffer a crash. He missed their 2nd test here, which was just a week ago, and unfortunately he's still not fully fit. So the man who is 2nd in the championship isn't here this weekend. So it's a good chance for Morales to make up some points on Max Schieb and try and get ahead of Santiago Barragan, who's another one who's been in this series for a long, long time. Yeah, with 2 races today, as you say, great chance for a new championship contender to emerge from it. And just to recap how this works in the CEV, they do have Friday, a day's worth of practice. I believe actually the Thursday as well this year, having 2 days of practice. Saturday we have 2 qualifying sessions. The best time from any of those qualifying sessions sorts out the grid for the 2 races that we have in Superbike for you today. Now, Morales, there was only 1 race here at MotorLand Aragon last year. He was victorious there. It's obviously a track he likes, and as you say, after the race 1 disappointment, I think he's going to be a man on a mission this weekend, Harry. It's going to be very hard for anyone to beat the CEV legend, isn't it? Yeah, definitely. As I said, times were very close in qualifying yesterday, but in morning warm-up today, Morales was over a second faster than number 2 man, Santiago Barragan. So that's looking quite ominous. In terms of pace from qualifying, it looks like Barragan was able to match the pace that Morales, as you can see there on your screen, the number 31 on that Yamaha bike, just turning off his engine there to get pushed up the front of the grid. Yeah, both his and Barragan's pace look quite similar in the 145s to 155s, more or less. But in morning warm-up, Morales was in a league of his own. Now, I was talking to Morales' team yesterday, and they were saying they weren't 100% happy with the setup. He wasn't riding the bike to his full potential, and they said they had some things to try and warm up. So obviously, it looks like that worked quite well. Morales then taking up pole position on the grid. He's had quite a few pole positions over the year, hasn't he, in the Superbike European Championship. And across the CV, this is the obviously stock extreme former Superbike champion, Moto2 champion in CV. Bit of a legend. I always describe him as kind of the shaky burn in BSB of the CEV, and hopefully that's no disrespect to either riders. Yeah, I believe this is his 21st pole, as you can see there, 0 points because he was unable to finish that first race in Valencia. Huge disappointment for him. Bit of a shock to the team as well, but it was one of those things completely
completely out of their control, just a bit of a freak accident. Interestingly enough, Carmelo Morales claimed pole position with a 153.562, which is the exact same time that Danny Rivas scored pole position here last year.
So that is quite remarkable, isn't it? When you think about it, as you say, you often see two riders maybe set the same time in the same session, but a year apart, different conditions, you know, different. That's incredible. That blows me away. Different race weekend, and he said exactly the same time. Right now, second on the grid is our race winner from race 1. We only had one race at Valencia, so Maximilian Schieb lining up there, number 7, 25 points, currently leading the championship, and what a real talent, isn't he, Harry?
Yeah, he's definitely the young up-and-comer in this championship. He's very, very aggressive, as we'll hopefully get to see this race, but he has had some problems making it go the distance. He sort of drops back in those last 5 laps. He didn't race here in the Superbike class last year. He only came up in the second half of the season to the blue ribbon class. He was riding in Moto 2. Wasn't really setting the world on fire in Moto 2, but then came up to Superbikes and caused a few jaws to drop.
Yeah, it just seems he's suited to that BMW S1000R, doesn't he? He's really taken to it like a duck to water. And as we mentioned, race winner in the first race, our current championship leader there, Max Schieb from Chile. It was one of the first Chilean winners I think we've had across all categories in motorbike racing for a while.
Yep, exactly. And here we have third on the grid, Santiago Barragan, the same 3 riders on the front row as they were in Valencia, a bit of a different order. Barragan is another one, like Carmelo Morales, been in this series a lot. In 2011, he was second. In 2012, he was 4th. In 2013, he didn't place in the top 5, but then in 2014, he was 5th again. Last year, he was in World Superbikes. He's come back here, didn't have the best year in Superbikes, so now he's come back here to sort of reignite his career and hopefully challenge for that title. And he's definitely another one of those 3 favourites, not only for the title, but certainly for the race win here.
Yeah, a teammate of Schieb, obviously that Targo Bank Easy Race Superbike team doing so well this year. And as you mentioned, a guy with experience, World Superbikes, World Supersport, he's been around, shall we say, and definitely, I think, finding his feet back in this championship and impressing. Now, this gentleman, he is new to the championship this year. 2013 World Endurance Champion, 2012 World Endurance Champion. He's a 2011 Boulder winner with Cert. He is, shall we say, an experienced endurance rider, Anthony Dalhal, on the JEG Racing Suzuki from France.
Yep, and currently racing in the World Endurance Championship this year with the Suzuki factory team. So that's the best team in world endurance racing. And by racing in the Sev, that's just giving him a lot more time on that Suzuki GSXR 1000 to adapt to the bike and to know exactly how it works.
And they've actually got some stickers on the bike this week. Obviously, the first race, they'd literally had the bikes delivered the day before, so they went with the standard stock Suzuki livery, so it's nice to see them with some stickers. Now, we talked about Alejandro Medina, the man second in the championship, not being here this weekend. Well, this is his teammate, Iki Cooper-Rynan. And Iki there on the Yamaha. Well, he was 13th at round 1, so hadn't qualified at 13th, so a bit of an improvement for him.
Yeah, Nico Mäkinen there is the leading privateer. There is sort of a sub-championship within this championship. There are the guys like Morales, like Schieb, and like Barragan, who are not quite factory, but their race results have sort of put them in a different class. And then there are guys like Mäkinen, like Diego Pierluigi, who we're seeing now, who don't quite have the same race experience or the same race results, and often quite the same level of machinery, so they're in sort of a sub-championship.
Yeah, apologies, I got my fins mixed up there. I was Iki Cooper and Nico Mäkinen completely confused. Yes, and you talk about Diego Pierluigi qualifying in 6th. Now, for him, he was 15th qualifying in Valencia, finished 12th overall, so a big improvement on the Kyoto Yamaha Loop KM Extra team, and he's a race winner in Brazilian Superbike Championship. So we do have riders from all over the world really coming to compete in this CV, as you see. In fact, the top 6 on the grid, we've got Spanish, Chilean, French, Finnish, Argentinian, Norwegians in there. It's a pretty impressive mix of nationalities.
Yeah, nice mix. Here we have number 16, Oscar Clement Sanchez, another one on that Yamaha R1. Since Morales took the title last year on that R1, it has become the bike to have in this championship. A lot of R1s, a lot of BMWs, not so many Kawasaki's. We saw a lot of Kawasaki's last year, but not quite as in favour this year.
Yeah, and as you mentioned there, I mean, Oscar Clement, he comes up, he had a Moto2, wildcard Moto2 in 2011. I think he finished in 28th, that was, in Valencia. He's also ridden the Spanish CV 125 Championship, Spanish Moto2 Championship, and the RFME Superstock 600 Championships are coming through the ranks. And number 65, that's Ole Bjorn Plarsen from Norway, from the Plarsen Road Racing team. Now, just to explain, because the last 4 riders have been privateers, they're on the same bikes as the factory riders or privateer riders.
They run under the same rules, let's put it that way. They probably don't have the same trick bits that Morales does or that Schieb has, but they are very much privately funded efforts. There you can see, you know, I think that looks to be his brother who's holding the umbrella, so not quite the same level of support as Morales. But yeah, there is a sub-championship for them. They score points not only in the overall race, but also within their sub-championship. And currently leading the Privateers Cup is Nico Mäkinen, who we saw starting up there in 5th position.
Yeah, Texia here in 9th on the grid now. He qualified in 16th in Valencia and finished 8th, as you see there. So big improvement for the French rider. 22 from Bordeaux, finished last year, actually 6th overall, with the best place finish of 5th in Navarra M Race 1 and was 2nd in the Superbike Privateers last year. So, you know, improving rider.
Yeah, and it's because of those strong results that he had last year that he is now no longer eligible to run under the Privateer
Great example
category.
of exactly what you were saying.
Yeah, because he has proved himself that even on, you know, not the most well-backed machinery, it's very much a family-run effort there, that he can still compete.
Now this is the Finn who I was getting confused with earlier, which is very hard to do because they're on completely different bikes. Iki Kuparainen there, as I say, number 5 from the Moto Market Racing team on the Kawasaki. Was on a BMW last year, that's why I got a bit confused. 2015 CV Superbike Privateer Champion. The year before, and he lost out in the Privateer Championship by 1 point as well. So consistency for this man is pretty good, isn't it? Yeah,
definitely. But this year, switching to the Kawasaki, he's not quite as strong as he was last year. You know, as we said, Nico Mäkinen is the leading privateer up in 5th. He's at a 156.368, whereas Kuparainen, who is now under the full rules, he's at a 157, so not quite able to match those times on that new Kawasaki. Here's another Kawasaki rider, Tiago Magalhães from Portugal.
Yeah, Tiago Magalhães, he's one of those guys, isn't it? Who's come into the championship this year, and he's impressed quite a bit, actually. 14th in round 1 at Valencia, but qualified in 7th. He's on 11th on the grid this time. You know, as you say, made an impression already, which isn't bad for his first year in the championship.
Yeah, certainly. You know, for a lot of these guys, it's not so much about winning races. Sure, they'd love to, but for a lot of them, especially the privateers, it is really about going out there and having, you know, a bit of fun and seeing just how well you can go against some of the guys like Morales up the front.
Another Yamaha here now, Guillermo Llano. He is a Spaniard, 20-year-old, riding the Yamaha Leopard Yamaha Stratos bike. In 2014, he was 4th overall in the privateer class, and 2013 European Superbike champion, finished 9th in Valencia after qualifying in 12th. And consistency for him because he's qualified in 12th here as well, at the back of the 3rd row.
Yep, certainly that Leopard Yamaha Stratos team is the biggest team on the grid. Usually they do have 4 bikes, with Medina riding the 4th, but this weekend they are only running 3, unfortunately. And Mika Höglund, who starts in 19th place at the back of the grid, he is also with that Leopard Yamaha Stratos team.
We also have another rider here today, Thierry Mulot, who is from the French Championship for the JD Ducati my team, but let's run through the grid. That is Carmelo Morales, Maximilian Schieb, and Santiago Barragan make up row 1.
Yep, ahead of Anthony De Hel, Nico Mäkinen, Diego Pierluigi making up row 2, with Oscar Clement Sanchez, Ola Bjorn-Carson, and Pierre Texier making up the top 9.
Those really are the top 3, I think, that you'll see in contention. It's interesting to see there, row 4, as I was mentioning, Chris Cotton Russell, Thierry Mulot, the Frenchman I was just talking about, Michael Moller Pedersen, Walter Petronen, Roberto Blasquez Fernandez, and Philippe Legallo. Row 6, well, row 7, one solitary man, Mika Höglund at the back of the grid. So they're heading out on the warm-up lap around this incredible MotorLand Aragon circuit. And there's some infamous and famous corners here, Harry. Obviously, we've got the incredible wall by turn 13. We have got the reverse corkscrew. Turn 1 itself is, well, there's only 19 riders on the grid, but it's still going to be quite a squeeze with those Superbikes getting through there.
Yeah, definitely. You really have to be careful going into turn 1. We saw when the World Superbikes was here, there was a huge accident. Luckily, no one was seriously hurt in the stock 1000 race. It does really suck all of those riders in, and you do have to be careful. And definitely there are, hopefully not in the Superbike class, but certainly in classes like Moto3, where there are some younger riders maybe trying to prove themselves a bit too much. You can often have 1 or 2 small issues, but hopefully everyone should get through here. As you said, 19 riders on the grid, one of the smaller classes, so hopefully no worries there.
Yeah, and we've got some young riders out there, as you mentioned, 20-year-olds, could Max Schieb, Guillermo Llano, and Walter Petronen. And then we've got some older ones. For instance, Carmelo Morales' new teammate this year, Philippe Legallo, I believe he's 58. That's not doing his service. He is 58. And Thierry Mulot, the Frenchman, number 17 on the Ducati I mentioned, he's 48, and yet he won the French Superbike Championship last year. These guys are quick. Don't let that age fool you.
Yeah, as Valentino Rossi showed, age is only a number. Indeed. You're only as old as you feel, so I definitely 1 or 2 of these guys looking to go show those young whippersnappers how it's done and put in a solid result.
Now, we saw in the last race in Valencia, Carmelo Morales actually got the whole shot. Normally not the best starters, but then, as we say, he actually dropped back through the field, seems having some problems. Just as he had got it going and getting and retaking the lead, it's when unfortunately, his rear tyre lost all pressure in an instant, which he was very lucky, really, to walk away with no issues, isn't he? So here they are, lining up on the grid then. The man with the red flag will walk away once all the bikes are ready. Just to run you through the first 2 rows again. Carmelo Morales is your pole man on the Yamaha Gliese bike. Max Scheib, the Chilean, makes up the second place, and Santiago Barragán completes the front row. Anthony Del Hal, Nico Mackinnon, and Diego Pierluigi is your second row. So we're about to get underway here in round 2 of the Superbike European Championship. And Harry, I think it could be anyone's race. And look out for Morales and also Anthony Del Hal, I think, from the second row, number 72 on the Suzuki. Yeah,
definitely. Those blue and neon yellow bikes definitely going to be the ones to watch. You can see how much that red flag is waving away as they get set to go. Once the lights come on, they will launch off the line. Morales looking like he's going for a good launch. He's holding their lights were on for a good time. And an excellent start from Morales there as he charges off the line, a field of his own. As you said, Del Hal, great around the outside by the Frenchman to lead into turn 1. Morales gets shuffled back there a bit, and it looks like Scheib in third just behind them.
Yeah, Scheib had a terrible wheelie off the line. He always seems to have a bad start. Same thing in Valencia, but they're all through the first 2 corners nice and safely, which is what we like to see. It looks like it is Morales from Scheib. Sorry, it's Barragán at the front, I apologise. But there's Morales making a move up the inside. He has a look. He'll be desperate to get past this Suzuki because he's a second or so quicker on qualifying than Del Hal. And look at them already starting to concertina behind the Frenchman.
Yep, and Del Hal showing exactly what he can do. As you were saying earlier, Valencia was a bit of a rush job for that team. All came together very much last minute, but now that he's had more testing and a whole week of practice on that bike, he's right up there. But Scheib's looking for a way through as well, as they almost get 3 across as we come into the corkscrew. Excellent part of the track here, turns 8 and 9. You can see the elevation change there. It doesn't quite do it justice.
I remember you last year, and you actually walked up there to go and see that, and I thought it was going to kill you, Harry. You told me afterwards you were just glad to make it back. It's a huge elevation change, and that's one of the things about this MotorLand Aragon track. It follows the contours of the land beautifully, kind of like a Mugello almost. And is that Morales then, coming up the inside to take the lead? I believe he might have just sneaked into first position ahead of Anthony Del Hal. We'll see when the camera switches around.
Yep, here we go. There's
the
Morales
and Scheib through as well.
Yep, but it's still a nice tight battle at the front. All 4 of those riders. We'll have to see where the Suzuki's strong. We really didn't see any Suzukis at all last year, so it's very hard to see how that bike goes on some of these Spanish tracks. We've seen that both the BMW and the Yamaha are the bikes have. Scheib using the power of that BMW to try and get past Morales, but just unable to. Morales was topping all of the timesheets in all of the top speed timesheets in both qualifying and in warm-up this morning. He had about 5K's advantage on Scheib.
That BMW is a tool on track, it's got to be said, an absolute weapon. But there is Morales, you see, Scheib was coming up the inside down the back straight. Morales just able to outbrake him, but, well, you affectionately called Scheib the Shark last year because we know he's one of the most aggressive riders out there.
Here comes Barragán up the inside of Del Hal. It looks like Scheib has a bit of a look but can't quite do it, but Barragán gets through, slips up into third. There's now 2 BMWs chasing that Yamaha. Can Del Hal stay up there?
And Diego Pierluigi, great start from the privateer, leading the privateer class in 5th. Nico Mackinnon, 6th. Pierre Texier, 7th. Oscar Clement, 8th. Ole Bjorn Plassen, 9th. And Thiago Maglas make up your top 10. But it is Morales and Scheib involved in an incredible battle at the front. And to be honest with you, Harry, I'd be surprised. Well, Barragán might join in, but if it wasn't these 2 we saw having a race-long humdinging battle, because they are the class above, really, aren't they?
Yeah, Morales is really tough to get past. We've seen in almost every race where they've been together that Scheib tries and tries and tries, but Morales is just able to constantly block him off, which will help Barragán a lot, because hopefully it'll slow them down. Just as I say that, Scheib does go up the inside, down into turn 8. A great move there, and Scheib then does manage to defend his line around turn 9. And Morales will now probably just wait and stay safe until the back straight and try and use the power of the R1 to slip past.
That was amazing to come around T-wide into the reverse corkscrew. As you say, it's about a 50-metre drop through those 2 sets of corners, so they must have had the old stomach in the mouth. And now let's see what Scheib can do at the front. They already, there's a smoke there coming across there. Is it dust? It is a beautiful, dusty, bit windy day here, so maybe there is some dust being picked up from the local area and blown on the track. But you see Scheib from Morales, Barragán, well, he's not letting him get away, and he's starting to settle into a bit of a rhythm. He's just over about half a second back now from his teammate in the lead. But these 3 already opened up a second of a gap back to Del Hal almost, haven't they?
Yeah, that last lap, both Scheib and Morales had 158s, whereas the rest of the field were in 159s or even 201s for most of them.
Yeah, in fact, the fastest man on the track last time around was Carmelo Morales, as you said, but Scheib literally 1/10 behind him. So Scheib, he's opened up a few bike lengths over Morales. Morales won't want to let him get away, but we know with Carmelo Morales, he won't panic. You know, he did exactly the same thing at Valencia, let himself drop back to 4th, took 5 or 6 laps to build his speed up, get the bike coming to him, and as we talked about earlier yesterday, wasn't 100% happy with the setup. Warm-up, a big improvement, but it's probably already temperatures risen about another 10 degrees since warm-up this morning.
There we saw Barragan just have a bit of a sniff up the inside of Morales, and Sheeb there sets the fastest lap, a 1:54.683, a really, really good lap from him. Faster than he went in qualifying, so he's really on it this weekend, and it looks like Barragan is now all over the back of Morales, and once again we see Sheeb in a commanding lead. But the big question with Sheeb is, can he make his tyres last until the end of the race?
Well, you saw how aggressive he was there on the throttle, the front of that BMW lifting up, and that is exactly the kind of riding that does put a lot of wear on the tyres, increasing the torque, obviously making the tyre almost tear itself off the wheel. He's doing it at every corner. That is the BMW, that is his style. But he needs to be careful because although it's only a 15-lap race, we know that, as you say, that tyre wear will play a big part. So just to run down then, these are your leading 3. It's Max Sheeb from Morales with Santiago Barragan and your I suppose, podium positions. Adi Del Harlem 4th, Diego Perluigi 5th, Nico Macklin 6th, Oscar Milk 7th, Ollie Bjorn Plassen 8th, Pierre Texier 9th, and Magalas in 10th, and Iki Kuparainen up into 11th. Right, so Morales then under pressure now from Santiago Barragan, and this Tiger Bank Easy Race Superbike
Barragan
team
making a nice move there to slip up the inside. Beautiful. I don't think Morales saw that coming. Morales is going to try and get past him, but can't quite do it as they exit turn 13 and then run through turn 14 and then flick it into 15 and onto the back straight. Can Morales try and power past the BMW, or has Barragan done what Sheeb did a lap before and just opened up enough of a gap to slipstream? With these big bikes, slipstream isn't as much of a factor as it is in the little classes like Moto3, but it's obviously every little does help.
Now at the front, it's pretty impressive. It's got to be said. Sheeb has opened up a bit of a gap. His teammate, I think, thought, right, well, look, if Morales is slowing us down, I need to get past. I want a challenge for the win. But so far, we do have a Targo Bank Easy Race Superbike team 1-2 with Max Sheeb as they come across the line at 1:54.8. That's rapid. Carmelo Morales lapping almost a second slower in 3rd. Barragan, the only other rider into the 1:54. So those guys, and Sheeb has opened up an 8/10 lead at the front already.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good for Sheeb, and it just doesn't seem like Morales has the pace to stick with these guys, which is really, really surprising given his pace in both qualifying and in warm-up, but maybe he's just saving it for the last few laps. Hopefully we can see a great 3-way battle for the lead. Certainly last year Morales was very much in a league of his own in many races, able to win by more than 10 seconds. So this is absolutely excellent racing, and Morales is really having to dig deep, stay and fight with these guys and learn a new trick or two, I think.
I tell you what, it's exactly that. Morales, at the age of 37, doing a bit of a racing. I think he's having to learn. These youngsters have come in and are really challenging him. I mean, last year, as we say, for many years, it was Morales and Noyes, Kenny Noyes, who led the field in Superbikes and were battling each other. And obviously, Kenny Noyes not in the field this year, having had his accident here at Aragon last year, but we've seen him recovering well on Twitter. And if you want to obviously keep up to date with Kenny's recovery, you can follow at Dennis Noyes, his father, on Twitter, the commentator and a bit of a legend around the kind of world racing.
Barragan having a big look up the inside there, can't quite do it. All of these leading 3 have suddenly closed right up through that mid part of the track. Barragan's now right on Sheeb's tail. Maybe a small mistake from Sheeb. I couldn't quite see if any of his lines, none of his lines looked dramatically wide.
He was 8/10 at the start of the lap, and they've closed right up.
Yep,
so look at Morales.
Right Barragan taking an excellent, nice tight line there, but it looks like Sheeb will have the drive there. Yep, Sheeb manages to just get that power down. Absolutely beautiful. Bit of a look back. Yep, both of them still right there, Max.
Wow, this is actually, as you say, brought up in a real freeway battle. And as we saw in Valencia this year, Carmelo Morales is taking no prisoners, and having scored 0 points in the first race through no fault of his own, he will be determined not to let these two get away. But I think these two teammates, BMW teammates, well, it gets to the stage where you might be thinking, are they going to trip each other up and allow Morales to keep up with them? They clearly seem to have better pace than the Spaniard.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like in that last half of the track, Barragan with another big look up the inside, managed to slip into first. Can Sheeb respond into turn 2? No, Barragan slams the door on him, takes the tight line, and Sheeb is forced to sit and wait for another opportunity. No
love lost there between teammates. Was there Barragan shutting the door on Sheeb quite aggressively? And as we know, Sheeb's one of the most aggressive riders in the CEV, so it'd be interesting to see how he responds to that. And look at Morales. Maybe he's just thinking, you know what, I'm just going to hang on here for a bit. Got sucked in a little bit there behind Sheeb. And just see what these two do. And it's a chance for Barragan now at the front, really, for the first time, to show us the kind of pace he's got. Can he pull it away at the front? Last time round, he did a 1:55.6, which was the quickest man on track. So can he pull away at the front? Sheeb is not letting him have any of it so far.
No, and Barragan is a 3-time winner before in this class, so he does have the pedigree. He does know what it takes to win races, and now it's all about keeping cool and just trying to hold off his aggressive young teammate. and really thrust himself into title contention as well. Barragan, he had a bit of a difficult race in Valencia. He was doing very well, but then made a mistake and suddenly dropped down through the field. So it's time for him to make amends, just like Morales.
Yeah, as you said, and I think when we came into this series, we'd have looked at these three to be the real title hopes. Obviously, we're missing Alejandro Medina, who had a great race in Valencia this week for the injury at the test. But as they come onto the back straight, so far, it's Barragan who's holding on to lead, the 29-year-old Spaniard from the 20-year-old Chilean, with the 37-year-old Spaniard, Carmelo Morales, in close attention. And Morales just putting out the slipstream there to have a look. But let's see if Sheeb is going to make a move down into turn 16. He's lining up his teammate. We'll see who's going to be the last of the late breakers, but it looks like Barragan's got it covered.
Nah, Sheeb just not quite with enough pace to use the slipstream to get ahead. Barragan was just able to edge him out there, only very slightly ahead, and Barragan continues to lead, but you know, no one's breaking away in this top three, and it's absolutely excellent. It is still very much anyone's race. One small mistake, one overly aggressive move from a rider, and then you know, someone like Morales can come right through.
Okay, so as they complete lap 6 of 15, it is Barragan, Sheeb, Morales. Anthony Del Hall is almost 5 seconds back in 4th. The Frenchman, the leading privateer rider, Diego Pierluigi's in 5th, with Macklin 6th, Clement 7th, Plassen 8th, Texier 9th, and Cooperainen 10th. But it is this battle at the front now between Barragan and Sheeb. Spain versus Chile on the Targa Bank Easy Race Superbike team, BMW 1-2. It's interesting to see, actually. There are definitely corners where Sheeb takes different lines, seems a bit slower than Barragan. He lost quite a lot in that last corner when Morales showed up, closed up. But then there are areas where he really seems to be quicker than Barragan.
Yeah, it is very much chop and change here. It seems like into the run-up to that straight from turn 15 to turn 16, that it seems like in those corners, as we see here in turns 8 and 9, this is where Sheeb seems to be strong. He is able to close up that gap
on that corkscrew,
quite a lot, but then he just doesn't quite have the pace to stick with Barragan. They are on the same bike, but obviously they will have quite different settings. As we've seen already, Sheeb does have a very aggressive style, quite different to Barragan. There you can see Sheeb getting his foot out. Never really proved if that helps or not, but it certainly does look a bit cooler as they go in front of the wall.
I think it's a psychological thing. It's also to stop a rider coming up the inside, as they say. It's that classic, if my foot's there, you don't think about putting your bike there. I don't think it would stop me. But
Will Sheeb not making a move there into turn 15. Will again just try and get in the slipstream and just try and stay as close to Barragan as he can, but Barragan just gets the power down so well off the corner and just makes up any ground he's lost, and then it's Sheeb who's playing catch up, and again he looks for the inside, but once more, Barragan is just able to defend it.
Interesting to see Barragan out onto the rumble strips there, getting the line into this turn at 16. As you say, Sheeb just wheeling out of turn 15, didn't get the drive down the back straight, but Barragan definitely seems to be later on the brakes than Sheeb there. So they come across the line to complete lap 6 of 15, and these three separated by less than 0.3 of a second as they go to turn 1.
Yep, Del Hall there, just in the back of your picture, you can see that gap, as Luke said just before, is at about 7 seconds now, so it does continue to grow as Carmelo Morales sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:54.172, so the pace is picking up.
Yeah, they're just all of the top 3 riders. There we go, Morales into second with a move on Sheeb. All of the top 3 riders is up their pace by about half a second a lap, and they're lapping more than 2 seconds quicker than De Haal in 4th. So it really is these 3 for the battle, and Morales, well, he's decided to not let the guys at the front get away, not let Barragan get away, and he's taken back 2nd place.
Yeah, exactly, but having 2 riders ahead could benefit Sheeb down the straight as Sheeb tries to get up the inside of Morales. Morales just a bit later on the brakes as they come into the corkscrew. Great show of experience there from Morales, knowing exactly when to brake. But as I was saying, this could help Sheeb down the straight because he now has a double slipstream, which could help to make up just for that tiny bit of a speed deficit that he was.
And a great shot of the front 3 there coming through the reverse corkscrew. It really is an incredible track, this Aragon circuit. Someone described it the other day as looking like a bottle opener, is the way if you look at the layout opener of it, which I can kind of see, if you know what I mean, and a beer can opener. But it is incredible. That reverse corkscrew, really, you've got to see it. And there, as you come through turn 14, 13 even, you see the wall in the background as they tip into the right-handed turn 14 and 15. It's down the back straight now. Can anyone take advantage of the slipstream? Good power down again from Barragan, can out the corner. Look at the wheelie though from Morales. Sheeb should have him down the back straight if we can use that BMW's power to blast past the Yamaha.
The slipstream just a bit too early there. I think they are hitting over 300 kilometres an hour, all 3 of them down this back straight, all of them averaging about 305 kilometres an hour, so definitely not slow.
Wow, spectacular stuff. A Yamaha sandwich between 2 BMWs. He's like the cheese in a
Here
BMW
comes Morales
bread filling.
Out of the final corner, tried to get up the inside of Barragan, couldn't quite do it. Barragan does manage to lead. Morales won't try anything into turn 1, nor will Sheeb. Sheeb is getting ever closer to Morales, and he's going to have to be careful of the Chilean right up his tail.
This is turning into an incredible three-way scrap at the front. These three, as we say, are class above, over 9 seconds now ahead of Del in fourth, who is in a lonely fourth, 4 seconds ahead of Diego Pierluigi and Nico Mackinnon. Just to cut out, it's Plas and Clement Kubrainu, who's now up into 9th, and Texier, who complete the top 10. Philip Lagallo, just at the back of the field, is 12 seconds behind the man ahead of Mika Hodlund at 18. So that's Morales' teammate, obviously. So a bit of a contrasting fortunes for the two teammates, but this battle at the front now, well, I think it's just starting to boil up in it now. And tyre life.
Bit of a wheelie there from Barragan. Morales tries to go up the inside but can't quite make it stick. Barragan able to recover on the brakes, but it did allow Sheeb to close right up, and there's now nothing between them all. Look at that, less than a bike length between all three. Morales tries a slightly different, tighter line there, can't quite get up the inside of Barragan, who is able to carry that more, just that little more corner speed by taking a wider sweeping line. That
was impressive, and I really thought Morales was going to try and muscle his way through, but not yet. Here they come then, through turn 12, just in front of the famous Aragon wall, flicking it right for turn 13, as you say. Sheeb looking menacing behind Morales. He's going to try and line him up for a move on this back straight, I think. The all-important turns 14 and 15, so crucial to not go in too deep here to allow you to get the drive onto the back straight. Let's see what happens in the slipstream. Well, there is Sheeb. He's desperately trying to get Morales, and Morales slight wheelie. Can Sheeb do it again? He's
great drive there from Sheeb, but yet again he can't quite make it, so he gets right alongside him. Maybe he can get later on the brakes into turn 16. Sheeb's going for it, but no, can't quite do it. Morales does manage to hold on to second there.
Every time, actually, we've seen Sheeb do that on the back straight, isn't he? He's lined someone up, looks like he's got the advantage going to the corner, but he's just that little bit earlier on the brakes. Just seemed to sit up, I should say, a little bit earlier. So it is Barragan who leads across the line. He's got a 0.15 second advantage, but you can see, you can throw a rug over all of the top three. Carmelo Morales and Max Sheeb in third. This is an incredible battle between them all now.
Yep, and we just do have word that unfortunately Ole Bjorn Claassen, he has stopped at turn 8, so his race is unfortunately over, but there you can see the pace continuing to pick up, a 154.125 from Max Sheeb that last lap. As Carmelo Morales fights for the lead, he's now right with Barragan, goes up the inside. Oh, they're almost touching there. Barragan gets forced wide, and Max Sheeb, the door's open for him. Did he make it through? No, not quite on his teammate. Still Sheeb in third.
Sheeb will be looking for the cutback in the next set of corners. So Morales back into the lead, and to give you some indication of how quick these guys are at the front, at 154.2 for Morales, 154.1 for Barragan and Sheeb.
Tried to get in the second, but again, a huge wheelie out of the corner to stop him from getting through on his teammate. Now it looks like Morales is pushing hard. He's opened up a couple of bike lengths there, but as we saw earlier in the race, if these guys are saving their pace a little, that could easily close up in just one small mistake from Morales, and Barragan and Sheeb are right back with him.
Now this is classic Morales. We were talking about this at Valencia at the last full round of the CEV, saying how with about 4 or 5 laps to go, he tries to make a break. He generally always does this. He pulls the pin, and for 2 laps he tries to put in as quick a time as he can to try and break the rest of the field. And with
Barragan gets passed round the outside by Sheeb there. I think Barragan could maybe be having some tyre problems. He just doesn't seem to be able to get the drive off the corners like he had before. He's running a bit wide, doesn't seem like he's able to get it stopped quite as well. So Sheeb now is into second, and is now all about Max Sheeb trying to close in this gap to Morales.
Huge moment for Sheeb coming out of the corner there. See if you can see how much drive he lost. Now Morales, as we said, is pulling the pin. It'll be interesting to see what lap times they do when they come across the line. He did a 154.2 last time around. I think this will be significantly quicker. He's opened up visually over half a second gap already. This is impressive from Morales, showing all of his experience to time it perfectly to make that break. And as you can see, the Targo Bag Easy Race Superbike team looking on with their riders in second and third, which actually wouldn't be bad positions for them, and I think would see, I believe Sheeb, obviously leading the championship, remain as championship leader, obviously, with Morales having not scored any points at round 1.
Sheeb was 0.4 of a second slower than Morales on that last lap. As you say, the gap did stand at half a second when they crossed the line. Meanwhile, Barragan clearly having issues, as he was a full second slower than Morales that last lap. So now it's just about Barragan trying to hold on and guarantee that he can take that third place ahead of Del Hal.
I think we've just, what we witnessed, because it looks to be saying that Morales put in a quicker lap. It was actually 2 tenths slower than the lap before, but I think we're starting to see the tyre wear come into it. As you saw the BMW there as Sheeb get kind of sideways coming out of the corner there. Rear tyre life obviously playing a part, time starting to slow, and maybe the BMWs, as you mentioned earlier, Harry, just using up that tyre a little bit more aggressive than the very smooth and very stable chassis on that R1.
Yep, certainly, but look at this. Sheeb has closed up that gap. Sheeb is so good through from turns about 3 to turn 9. Sheep is just so strong through there and is able to close up a huge gap. Barragan continuing to stick with them. You know, he's not being dropped too much. He's not quite within touching distance, but he can definitely see them and could capitalise if anything were to happen. But it is all about this man here in the green helmet, Maximilian Sheep from Chile. Can he close down? No, he can't. He runs wide as he exits turn 12 and he drops down into third. Barragan says thank you very much, moves up into second. Morales now has the pressure off Barragan. I'm not sure if Barragan will be able to do it. We'll have to check the lap times at the end of this lap, but that could be the race deciding moment.
Yeah, that was a big moment for Sheep. Obviously just pushing that a little bit too hard coming through turn 12 into turn 13, ran wide, and while he's still in the podium place and not lost a huge amount of time, he's obviously, that could be his chance to win. As you see, just on the brakes, just runs onto the rumble strip, can't get it stopped in time, but great runoff areas there, allow him to obviously rejoin, but having given up the place to his teammate Barragan. So we'll see what the differences they come across the line. But if you see the times, 144, look at that wheelie, 154.3 for Morales last time around, and that's a 154.4. So, as we say, time's definitely slowing, but Sheep there at 155.5. Barragan, quickest man on track.
Yeah, interestingly enough, it looks like maybe that one lap was just a bit of a blip for Barragan, and now he's right back on the pace. As I said at the start of the show, 154 was the race pace we were expecting from these leading two. So these last 4 laps will be very interesting to see what can happen if Barragan can close it up. Has Morales pushed his tyres a bit too hard by trying to make up after that a little while sitting in third place? Morales has tended to be very kind to tyres. Certainly the BMWs in the past have been a bit harsher, so it's very much all eyes on this man here, number 51, Santiago Barragan.
Yeah, Morales, as you were saying, settling into a groove. It'll be interesting to see if Barragan can challenge him because, I mean, look at Morales, he's so experienced around this track. Beautiful there, through the reverse corkscrew. Looking through this, I love this turn 10. You see some black lines laid down here, don't you, as the guys really get on that power. Bringing it round turn 11s, it's a little kind of slight left kink before they head into the turn 12, which is in front of the big wall at Aragon. See famous landmark obviously coming over the crest. And here is Anthony Delhau. We haven't spoken much about him. Brilliant ride from the French endurance rider in fourth. Very lonely fourth. He's 17 seconds back from the leading 3, but 5 seconds ahead of Nico Mäkinen in fifth. So great stuff from Delhau on the Suzuki.
Yep, certainly, and he'd double his points if he were to finish as the race is now, as he was fourth in Valencia. So another 13 points for the Frenchman if he can keep it upright and if everyone else can remain as they are.
And it does seem to be, we saw obviously in Valencia, the front 3, there's a bit of a gap, there's Delhau in fourth, and then there's almost everyone else. The rest of the field only separate from 5th down to 8th, kind of by a couple of seconds. So it is quite close racing further back down the field, but it's at the front. We're seeing these 3 completely dominate, and it is Carmelo Morales looking comfortable here at the front as he comes around to complete lap 11.
He has just lapped his teammate Philip Lagello, as has Santiago Barragan. As you said, Lagello, the oldest rider on the grid, showing his experience to get out of the way there. No issues with the back mark, which is really great for this leading trio. We do have a yellow flag at turn 7. That is rider number 20.
Roberto Blasquez on the ARC competition. BMW has gone down. You can see they're walking away safely. So we got yellow flags at turn 7. But here's Morales leading. Now his gap when they came across the line to complete lap 11 of 15 was up to 0.8 of a second. We've seen this before. We've seen them close it down. And it looks like Barragan is actually getting on him. Yeah,
0.8 of a second. This race is still very much on.
He took 0.4 out of him in that first sector, Barragan. This is interesting. Maybe he's thought 4 laps to go. 3.5, we should say now. Let's pull the pin as they're coming up here into the reverse corkscrew. This is where Barragan and Sheep look so quick, it's got to be said.
Yeah, certainly. It seems like both of those BMWs are working very well through that second sector out on track, and the first one, to be honest, because, as you said, Barragan did make up so much time. Barragan visually closing on Morales with every lap. I think it's going to come down to the last lap. I don't think he'll be able to break Morales, but if he can do something into those last 2 corners, turns 16 and 17, almost 1 corner, then that could be a very exciting end to the race.
If it came down to that final corner, you're right.
Barragan's having a slick now right with him, within touching distance, to be able to feel the slipstream as they come down that huge 1 kilometre long straight.
As I say, these corners so important. Runs a little bit wide on 14, needs to pull it back to the right-hand side to allow him to get that power down. Bit more of a sweeping line there from Morales, so maybe he'll be fine. Big look back though. He knows he's got Barragan behind him. The gap was down to 0.4 at the last sector. It's now down to 0.3, so Barragan still eating into Morales' lead. And can Sheeb come with him?
Yeah, Sheeb's going to have a lot of work to do. He's over a second back on Morales and over a second back on his teammate Barragan as well, so it's going to take a pretty big effort in these last 3 laps for him to close it down. Carmelo Morales will cross the line in the lead for now, and it looks like he has managed to open up a bit more of a gap on Barragan as well, after Barragan was within touching distance at turn 13. Morales was able to do some great work down the straight and into turn 1 to now open up a couple of bike lengths there.
So we've got 2 3/4 laps to go. Is Morales just controlling this race perfectly at the front? Well, it looks like he is. And there is number 66. That is Philip Legallo, one of the back markers we were talking about earlier. And number 72, Anthony Dalhal, about to come around and lap Philip Legallo. Dalhal, as we said, in a lowly 4th place. Brilliant ride from the French former endurance rider, a bit of a legend on the endurance scene, and adapting very, very well to the shorter form of racing, has got to be said. And I think as the season goes on, and he learns to get more and more out of that Suzuki, as you mentioned, that he switched to the team, switched him to this year, I think he could be maybe a podium contender.
Yeah, and certainly endurance and fitness won't be any issue for him, because next weekend he is off to Portugal to run with the CERT team at the 12 Hours of Portimao. So this will be like a walk in the park.
Yeah.
15 laps, that's absolutely nothing.
And also great experience for him for the round we've got in the Algarve, obviously later in the year. So he'll have a big advantage. So here is Barragan then as they tip into turn 12. It's Morales still leading, but that gap was 3/10 through the last sector, and it looks as if it's staying about the same. But 2 laps to go. I reckon Barragan may just be holding a little bit in reserve. We shall see. Sheeb's upped his pace a little bit in 3rd, but he has dropped from almost 2 seconds behind these guys now. So even though he's quicker than Morales last time around, not able to close that gap.
Nah, not quite. So it looks like Sheeb is now going to settle for 3rd position, and it's all about what Barragan can do. Barragan is currently 3rd in the championship, so this will definitely move him up into at least 2nd, and depending on what my math is like, could even move him into the lead. That is Iki Kuparainen, number 5.
He's gone down. Yellow flag, get to turn 7.
Yep, turn 7 claiming a few victims there.
Oh, it's not too bad, the damage to the bike, but the plastic come off, and he looks okay. He's walked away. That was my mistake for mixing him up with Nico Mackinnon earlier, obviously. That is...
looks like the TV crew have
done exactly the same. Look at that. So it was not just me. I'm not completely insane. But it does look like now Morales, well, he seems to maybe sneaked a couple of extra bike lengths on Barragan. I'm not going to get too excited, because every time I say that, he closes back up. But he, as always, we say on this R1, always holds some very tight lines and looking very comfortable. Though a bit of a moment there.
It's very hard to tell. You know, as I keep saying, I think through the centre of this lap, the middle part of this lap, that the BMW is stronger than that Yamaha, but crucially the Yamaha is strongest in that final sector down the straight and those final 2 corners, which is where races are won and lost.
But Barragan has reduced that gap to 1/10 now, and we got back markers, Harry. This could be interesting. Normally the back markers in the CV excellent getting out of the way, but you never know. Obviously they're in their own race, but that back marker did brilliantly pulling off track there actually through the reverse corkscrew to give these guys the room to come through. But it makes it more interesting, doesn't it? And that was at lapping, I believe, Mika Hogland.
Yeah, it does seem like that. Barragan is very close, and it's now all about these crucial couple of turns. I've seen him lose advantages here. Definitely on corner exit, he has a tendency to run wide.
With coming up to the last lap now, on the penultimate lap with these guys, and as you say, I think it's going to come down to these final corners as they go onto the back straight through turn 15. Now, the final corner, it looks like 1 turn, it is obviously 2 turns, 16 and 17, but it's treated as 1, but there are so many lines through it. But one thing's for sure, Barragan will need to be a hell of a lot closer.
Yeah, I'm not sure Barragan has the pace to get past Carmelo Morales, in all honesty. He's going to have to produce something pretty special on this final lap, as we see Max Sheeb come through on Hogland, as he said.
Yeah, the back marker there, Hogland, the back, or second to last at the back of the field. Not a great weekend for Hogland, but Sheeb there, I think he knows he's out of the contention for the win. Obviously, he's almost 5 seconds back from these guys, but making sure he retains 3rd, which would see him remain as championship leader. But as they come across the line, then 3/10 of the gap between Morales and Barragan at the front. It is a 2-way duel, but Barragan 2/10 quicker through the first sector, by the looks of it. So we are going to have a bit of a battle royale. Can he close up just so on that back straight he can get into the slipstream? Well, I don't know, man. I think Morales might time this perfectly.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid gap there. Barragan's really going to have to go above and beyond in these, you know, not even a full lap now, about half a lap. Morales is going to know exactly what to do. He's going to take nice defensive lines, just make sure he's not taking any risks and make sure that he's not going to lose any time to Barragan.
Okay, so they come into reverse corkscrew for the last time. Don't forget, there is another Superbike race later on today for you at 2 o'clock. So this isn't all of your Superbike action. A chance for the guys to work on their setup as the track gets warmer, and you might see a completely different set of results. But I think we could still see the front three we have in this race battling for it. But here we go then, Morales. He's definitely extended that lead.
Yeah, Morales has this in the bag. No worries for him. All he has to do is just make no silly mistakes in these last couple of corners, and there's no way that Barragan can close that gap down. Barragan made a great effort.
Bit wide. Oh, there was a moment there.
What's happened? Just as I was saying it, Barragan has gone into the lead. Morales, a bit of a rear slide there, maybe more rear tyre issues, and Barragan is in the lead. Can Morales do something? No, he's very wide there. It looks like Barragan has actually sewn this up. Big issues for Carmelo Morales just in those final couple of corners. Commentators curse. Very sorry, Carmelo.
I honestly can't believe it. He came through 12 and he just seemed to stop. He ran slightly wide, looked backwards. Obviously, exactly what happened in Valencia. Looked backwards, had a problem with the tyre pressure.
Can he do something in these final two corners? I have no idea what's going on here.
He's going for the
tight line. Can he go for the inside line? Barragan has the advantage, but Morales is up the inside. Very close there. It looks like Morales is going to do it. It's all about a drag to the line. The drag line is very short here, and it looks like Morales is just going to pip it to the line. Absolutely incredible final lap.
Of a second. That was an incredible finish. Harry, you've got to nip down rather long journey down the pit. What a finish. And Sheeb comes across the line in third. What a dramatic finish. It's almost like Carmelo Morales decided he was a bit bored at the front, wanted to make it more exciting. So he pulled wide, ran off track, let Barragan get in front, and then took him through the final set of two corners. And what an aggressive move from Morales through those final two corners. That was brilliant. Here is Anthony Delahal, a great wheelie across the line for the JG Racing team on the Suzuki. Second, fourth place in a row, back-to-back fourth places for the Frenchman. A superb result. Nico Mackinnon leading Privateer, wins a Privateer race, coming across the line in fifth. It looks like Oscar Clement just coming across in sixth, with Diego Pierluigi in seventh, and Pierre Texier just about to cross the line in eighth. But Carmelo Morales, well, what happened there? He must have been having a bit of a nightmare back to Valencia, where with a couple of laps to go, leading the race, he started looking backwards, and we had no idea what was wrong with the bike. Turned out it was losing tyre pressure in the rear, but wow. If I didn't know better, I swear he did that just to entertain the fans. Look at him doing his lap of victory. A very, very popular man in Spain. Well, for things like that, because it looked like he'd lost out with 3 corners to go and he jammed it up the inside of the final corner. What a win. Are we going to get the traditional burnout? Probably not on the AstroTurf, Carmelo, but he gives us a wave. Number 31, a happy man, unless he has actually got problems with the bike, which could be why he was having issues. Santiago Barragan, double podium this season then for Santiago Barragan. Having finished third in Valencia, he steps up a notch to take it second, and that will see him, I believe, be second in the championship with 36 points. But it is his teammate Max Sheep who finished third and also took the win in Valencia with 38 points, will be in the lead. But Morales, brilliant returns for him. 0 points in the first round. That should see him at least up into the top 6 now after the first race here. Max Sheep, as we said, it's been a great season for him. That moment when he was battling for the race win with Morales, we saw him drop backwards, and I think from there he just thought there's no point throwing it down the road, there's no point pushing it, the victory's gone, let's take third, retain my lead in the championship, and it's the best we can do. So just to run through it then, after we had Texier across the line 8th, Thiago Magalas finished in 9th, Chris Cotton Russell in 10th, Lano was 11th. Thierry Moulin, great debut for him in 12th, number 17, the 48-year-old Frenchman. Pedersen was 13th, Petronen 14th, Hogland 15th, and Gallo 16th. We lost Iki Kuparainen, Blasquez and Oliborn Plausen, so 3 non-finishers, but those are your official results. And Morales has picked up the flag. A very happy Spaniard, but what was that all about? I've not seen anything like that covering CV for the last couple of years, where he almost seemed to roll off with 4 corners to go. Maybe he had an issue, maybe he enrolled, maybe he thought he had a bigger gap. Barragan must have thought all his Christmases had come early. He stuffed it up the inside and was like, thank you very, very much. But then, yeah, Barragan, as you can see, a little bit distraught down in Parc Ferme because he probably thought he had the win nailed on. And I think he's trying to explain to his team what actually happened because he's probably known the wise as we are. Morales will be the man to tell us what happened. Harry, as I mentioned, we're actually sat up at the upper paddock in a rather elegant shed commentating on this race. So Harry's had to nip on a scooter down to Parc Ferme. He will be chatting to Commander Morales very shortly, the race winner. But another double podium for the Targo Bank Easy Race Superbike team after taking 1st and 3rd at Valencia. It's 2nd and 3rd with your reverse between Barragan and Sheep. And then coming in as leading privateer Nico Mäkinen. So massive apologies to Nico Mäkinen and Niki Kuparainen. Firstly, for me confusing them on the grid, and then also for the the graphics team getting it wrong. But two finished riders, we shouldn't be getting confused that easily. But great result for Nico Mäkinen. He follows up his 5th from Valencia. In fact, Nico Mäkinen, check this out, qualified in 5th at Valencia, finished 5th. Qualified in 5th here in Aragon, finished 5th in race 1. Not bad work for the youngster. And then Clement, Oscar Clement. Good result for him as well. 23-year-old, 7th first time out in Valencia. Again, after qualifying a 7th, qualified 7th here, but he's done one better and gone 6th. But Morales then returns to Parc Ferme. People very, very happy with that result. As you can see, the teams and riders, a lot of respect for Carmelo. He's been around a while. His leather's even similar to that of Valentino Rossi. Same age as well, 37 years of age. I think he's probably got a similar amount of titles, though not quite the amount of World Championship titles that a certain Mr. Rossi has. But yeah, Carmelo there, delighted with the win. It will be so interesting to find out what actually happened there. But his confirmation of the race win for the Spaniard Carmelo Morales ahead of Santiago Barragan, just 0.05 of a second. 7.7 seconds further back was Max Sheeb. Anthony Dahal, a rather lonely 4th place on the Suzuki. Nico Mäkinen, leading privateer, taking the race win there in 5th. Oscar Clement 6th. Diego Pierluigi 7th. Pierre Texier down in 8th, 49 seconds behind Morales, where Thiago Baglas was 9th. Chris Cotton Russell 10th. Guillermo Lano in 11th. Thierry Moulin, not a bad debut for the Frenchman on the Ducati in 12th. Michael Moller-Pedersen 13th. Walter Petrone 14th. And Mika Hodlund picks up the final point scoring position with Philo Lacallo in 16th, where Iki Kuparainen, Roberto Blasquez and Oliver Plassen were all non-finishers, unfortunately. So then, we are going to cross down to Harry very shortly to have an interview with Carmelo Morales, who, as we say, will maybe be able to explain what happened. And if that whetted your appetite, stand by your bets, because we have another
great race, but a bit of a
amazing
difficult last
races
lap
for you.
there.
But
What
here's Harry.
happened?
Yes, well, I'm very happy. No, it's my first finish race and my first points. The race was very difficult, but in the second part of the race, the tires were difficult, no, and my friend Barragan was very fast, and well, the last corner for me is very beautiful, no, and I don't know the first race. En español mejor porque.
Entonces en español. Un gran carrera, pero un vuelta último difícil, ¿no?
Sí, o sea, para nosotros ha sido una carrera muy buena, ¿no? Porque hemos conseguido los primeros puntos y era bastante complicado porque no podíamos fallar, ¿no? Y la carrera, la verdad que ha sido bastante difícil. Íbamos sufriendo todos mucho con los neumáticos hasta que Barragán la verdad que tenía un buen ritmo, ¿no? Y me ha sorprendido en las últimas vueltas. Y entre que el viento era muy difícil las frenadas, pues he tenido un error y ha sido cuando he dicho, uy, se me va a escapar la carrera. Pero por suerte en la última frenada hemos hecho una buena curva y me he podido meter ahí en medio y bueno, ha sido una carrera bonita de las de última vuelta, ¿no? Y nada, agradecer a mi equipo, a Yamaha y a Michelin.
Vale, muchas gracias.
There we go, Harry talking to Carmelo down in Parc Ferme. Just to recap what he was telling you there was that it was an incredible last lap, had some slight worries with the tyres, didn't quite know where they were on that last lap, but what a beautiful last corner, his exact words. So let's have a look back at the highlights. Well, it was Anthony Dahal who got an amazing start on the Suzuki from the second row to actually lead into the first corner. Carmelo Morales, look, up the inside, had to stand the bike up, and then it was the two BMWs of Sheeb and Barragan. Sheeb had a terrible start, recovered brilliantly. Then we had number 76, and sorry, not Suzuki, which is Walter Petrone having to pull off and retire. And as they led across the line there, look, it looked like Sheeb and Barragan would be in the fight for the win. Barragan taking over the lead, but Morales making it this aggressive move halfway through the race. And these three swap lead at the front, as you can see, Sheep trying to come around the outside of his teammate, but then there would be drama on the last lap. Love the scene. This is Sheep running wide, coming into turn 12. Look, he just seemed to run off, and that's exactly the same place where Morales would suffer on the last lap. And then it was a two-way race to the line. Morales and Barragan. It looked like Barragan, well, Morales had done enough. That is Iki Kuparainen crashing out, unfortunately, for the finish rider. It looked like Morales had done enough. And as we said, coming into the last lap, here we go. Look what happens here. He runs a little bit wide, he looks behind him, and then bang, straight comes through Barragan, and with 4 corners left to go, it looked like Barragan was going to take a sensational victory. He flicks it right through 14 and 15 on the back straight. Again, Morales looking like he'd run wide, but look at how sweeping a line Morales took through the second part of that corner. It allowed him to carry the speed onto the back straight. Now look, he goes wide to get the cutback on Barragan. Well, Barragan kept a tight line to try and be defensive, but Morales stuffs out the inside, says, "Thank you, not today, my friend," and wins the drag to the line by 0.05 of a second to take his first victory of the season. The reigning FIM CEV Repsol European Superbike champion. Sheep coming across the line in third to complete the podium. And Morales, we said, well, he scored 0 points after that tyre pressure problem in race 1. So great for him to be back tasting victory. But we'll get the championship standings in just a bit after we've done the podium, because I believe we will see that Max Sheep still leads the championship from his teammate Barragan. But Morales getting 25 points on the board, well, that's pretty important for him. And here we go with the podium. So Harry will be making his way back from Parc Fermé on a super scooter, I should say. He's got his own personal chauffeur today. He's feeling rather posh. And there's Morales. Great support. You can see how windy it is up on that podium, but I tell you what, it's getting rather warm here. We're expecting temperatures to rise up to about 28, 29 degrees in the Aragon sun, which means track temperatures later will be well over 50 degrees. But as you can see there, the two Targo Bank Easy Race Superbike teammates of Maximilian Sheep and Santiago Barragan in third and second respectively. And as we mentioned, the leading privateer, Nico Mäkinen, number 33, also gets to come on the podium to receive his prize. The Privateer Championship, they obviously score points in the main championship, but they also score points by themselves. So it's 25 points for him in the privateer, but for finishing 5th as well, he will get 11 points in the main championship. The way it works, they'll be presented with their trophies. Then we have the gratuitous extra large check from Repsol for free fuel, which is always one of my favourite moments, and then we'll have the national anthem. Now, last time out, we had some incredible national anthems: Chilean, South African, Japanese. Today, we are going to hear the Spanish national anthem ring out around the hills of Alcaniz after race 1. As I mentioned before, Harry had the interview. If that whetted your appetite, don't go anywhere. We've got another Superbike race for you, 2 Moto2 races and 1 Moto3 Junior World Championship race, which, you know, if you have been watching the Moto3 in the World Championships, you'll know just how dramatic and exciting that can be. But that wasn't exactly bad, was it? Coming right down to the final corner, Carmelo Morales stealing an incredibly dramatic victory from the jaws of defeat. It looked like he'd thrown it all away from this man. There we go, Santiago Barragan. But Morales takes his trophy. The crowd applaud. He added to 1 or 2 first place trophies. I think he must have at his house back home in Barcelona. And here comes the giant check. It's not as big as it was last year. A little bit disappointed about that. It's almost a sensible check. But I always like the way they write it as well, because the I is always done lowercase for some reason. Anyway, Morales gets the free fuel check. Obviously, the FIM CEV being sponsored by Repsol, the riders get to take free fuel, which is a bonus for any team if you don't have to spend on that. And here is the Spanish national anthem. Spanish national anthem there, completed. Carmelo Morales, say first victory of the season after 0 points at round 1. Expect him to maybe be returning to the top spot for that podium in race 2. But we should be on for a hell of a race, Harry, in race 2. Just to recap, Superbike race 2 will be taking place at 2 o'clock local times within the UK. That's 1 p.m. wherever you're around the world. You can work that yourselves. My maths isn't that good. So we do have 2 Superbike races today. So they get to do it all again in rather warmer conditions later on. But Harry, not a bad way to start the day's racing, really, was it?
No, definitely not. Absolutely cracking race there. You know, we literally did not know who was going to win until the final seconds. As Morales himself said, it was a beautiful last corner for him. I think he even surprised himself a bit. But just for those whose Spanish maybe isn't as good, he was basically just saying that the tyres dropped off a lot in the second half and the wind was actually quite bad, is more or less the gist of it. Here we have the championship standings. Sheep sitting pretty, 41 points, 5 ahead of his teammate Santiago Barragan. Anthony Del Hall moves up to 3rd ahead of Carmelo Morales with his first points on the year.
Well, that's big for Morales. There's only 16 points back. That could be one race. Nico Mackinnon in Preston in 5th. He's leading the privateer class. And looking down there, Adrian Bonastre, you might be wondering why he isn't here this weekend. He's not obviously competing in this round. I believe it's injury. Is that right, Harry?
Yeah, that's one of the unfortunate things about some of these riders is they do have a bit of a problem to get funding. His ride in Valencia was very last minute. He wasn't even on the entry list originally.
Of course,
so unfortunately some issues have come up for him.
And Philip Lagallo there scoring a championship point in the round 1 at Valencia. Roberto Blasquez is the last man across the line today. So championship standings all set for a thrilling race 2.